People. Another Founder Wisdom podcast with Julianne Becker today. She is co-founder at Coconat, the workation retreat. Julianne, welcome to the pod. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
About me, yeah. I'm from the States, but I am living and running my company in Brandenburg, which is just outside of Germany, or sorry, in Germany, right outside of Berlin,
Right.
in the German countryside. I studied fine arts. I lived in Southeast Asia, making films for WWF and conservation efforts, and have been in Germany for the last 13 years. 7 in Berlin and 6 out here in Brandenburg.
Interesting. And tell me a bit more about Coconat. What do you guys do exactly?
So Coconut is a social business, an impact-driven company, and we do a lot of different things. So I'll try to put it in a nutshell. The business part, the product is a workation, co-working, co-living, and we have a makerspace. We focus on healthy work-life balance. We're in the countryside, so we encourage our guests and coworkers to incorporate nature into their processes of working. We create a structured work environment, but also where there's a lot of opportunity to get to know other people. So yeah, we try to incorporate all the healthy parts of work life into our project here. And at the same time, we're able to leverage what we do there with positive impact-driven rural development projects. So we work together with the village in more of a social way, being a community space, but then we also work with the region on different types of development projects, usually digital focused. We've been able to bring in a lot of funding from the German government to this region for digital development. And we've been a part of steering that project, working with the cities that we're around to to implement new digital strategies for this region. So this is like part of what we do in a nutshell.
I want to start with your background, social and environmental impact. In my book, well, first the word activism, it doesn't have a good connotation in my mind because I can picture like keyboard activists and, people that try to make an impact but create more noise as a result. In my own chart of things as an entrepreneur, I see documentaries as very powerful because they can be spread to many. Media is like so powerful when it comes to impact. And then I see over documentary, most probably starting a social startup as having a great impact. So can you tell us about you starting your career as a documentary maker, and can you tell me, like, if I'm wrong in that scale of impact, like how can we have the greatest impact without just standing behind your keyboard and just like writing gibberish and adding more noise to the conversation like most folks do nowadays, I feel?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's something to say about spreading information, but there's also something to be said about like living your values. So when I lived in Southeast Asia, I was involved with projects that were around national parks, and we were promoting tourism projects so that the local people who maybe were having to rely on ecosystem services like wildlife trade or lumber or different things that were really having a negative impact on the forests and the ecosystems, to find another way to make money to support their families. And we did this in all kinds of different ways, and we did a lot of outreach. So actually, a lot of the filmmaking that I did was actually about training and sharing knowledge and taking lessons learned from this project over to this project, but then also some public interventions as well. So I also made documentaries for the general public in Vietnam, which was pretty fun. So when I moved to Germany and I was coming up with this project, I knew that that a tourism project could have a greater impact on a community. So from the very beginning, when we were building the project, we knew that these were some of the things that we wanted to do. We didn't want to be a UFO in this community. So from the very beginning of building the company and the idea, we had these social and value-driven things in our mind. We didn't want to just make something that was a total, I don't know, yeah, like I said, like a UFO. We wanted to be a part of the community that we're living in, and we wanted to have an impact here. It might not be the biggest impact on the global scale, but it has a very big impact on this region. And then what we do is sort of share what we've done here and try to inspire people to do similar projects where they live. So you don't always actually have to be like making this huge global impact. You can make a small impact on your community, and if it's a very powerful and positive one, then there can be ripple effects, and this is what we're doing. So yeah,
Interesting.
it's like the thoughts behind it.
Yeah, I love the ripple effect side of it, because me on my side, I always tend to think on a grander scale. For example, environment is a top cause in my book, my own personal book. So it's like I've always had this connection with nature. And I'm like, yeah, environmental crisis. Well, what I don't like about the branding of the climate action is that it's always fear-based, right? It generates cortisol in us humans, and sometimes we don't need more of that, in society. Like a lot of us humans are stressed. I think what we need is like more like a point to start, and that's incredibly hard to do as a company. We're talking about product, we're talking about UX here. Startup that has somehow achieved that, or somewhat achieved that, has been what's it called again? I forgot the name, but it's like a monthly subscription. So you just pay and they plant trees for you. And I have them on my LinkedIn, so I'll pull them out before the end of this interview. But I found that like beautifully simple. You just subscribe, and as busy professionals, we don't really have time to dive deep into the details. Yeah, they're called ecology.com. And basically, yeah, they give you a certificate that you can boast on your LinkedIn. They give you also the results, how many trees have been planted and where, in Cambodia and Thailand and so forth, every month. So I found that kind of genius. And then I somewhat agree with the contrarian thesis that a lot of Silicon Valley people share, which is that, there's not really a climate problem because technology will fix it. And I do believe really that's going to happen, but I also believe that it's risky to go all in that strategy that, some genius, and by the way, this is somewhat already happening because green tech is like really picking some traction nowadays. But yeah, it's somewhat risky. It's just like AI, right? Let's see what happens. No, I think we need to have other stepping stones before that. What are your thoughts on that, with this kind of moonshot mindset that I think that, technology will fix it all?
I mean, I think, well, I don't agree with the mindset that just leaving technology to fix all of the mistakes that humans make. I mean, and actually technology is driven by humans. So if all people are just waiting for the answer to come from tech, like where's it going to come from? It has to come from us. It has to come from people who are thinking about it, who are doing things, who are not like just sitting on their butts waiting for some other genius to come up with the answer. I mean, so I completely disagree that that's like the way to go. I think it's nice to find a way to have some hope, because I think what can happen is that people who are too in the topic can get very dark and like depressed and then feel completely helpless, which is also not good. But I think just living and not making any changes of how you make your decisions or how you run your business because you think someone else is going to solve it, whether it's a robot or a person, it's a little bit irresponsible in my opinion. So, I mean, we make decisions based on sustainability measures, of course, balanced by economic reality. It's like we can't afford to do everything that we want to do because we also have to sell a product and it has to be affordable, like to our market. So we can't do absolutely everything that we want to do. for sure. But we balance it out and we think about it. And I think being conscious about your decisions is your responsibility as a person living on this planet with 10 billion other people. So, you know, we make business decisions. We try to fly less. We don't just jump on a plane for every conference and every meeting. Like we're doing Zoom calls like this, or we try to find trains. We also are promoting, sorry, my phone is ringing. I hope it's not distracting everybody else except me. I mean, another thing that we're a proponent of though, is that like, so we offer a workation where many people might fly to Bali, or they might think they have to fly to Spain, but actually you can get the same results from a local workation place. Like, so we are outside of the city. You can jump on a train. You can jump on a train and ride your bike if you really want to. You can come totally by public transportation here, and then you have almost zero carbon, gain. And you have a really different environment. You have different inspiration. You have access to nature. You have access to new people, new thoughts, new ideas, all the reasons why people travel to those places, like to these faraway places. But you actually don't have to travel that far to get the same influence on your work and your life. So I'm a proponent of slow travel. I'm a proponent of taking your time, thinking about the decisions that you make, and also taking responsibility for your part of what's happening with the world. So that would
Right.
be my
If you know, like it's a human psychology and habit building or habit breaking type of game, I feel. It's weird because yeah, us humans we're so busy with our lives and we're stressed, and sometimes we don't even have the time to stop. Most of us are not capable of habit building and breaking. So I really feel that this is why the tech comes in, you know. So put everything in the trash, a bot is gonna sort it out, you know, for example. And the fintech company, it's kind of a fintech company, one could say it, the one that I just mentioned, Ecology, but I've seen other examples of cool companies just trying to integrate that, and that's really cool what we're seeing right now, everything with green tech. For example, Stripe, you pay 1% to the environment every time a client gives me money. So let's say 1% out of 4K, that's 40 USD, you know, like, and I that was given yesterday from my company to this the environmental cause. Another one is Uber. You add a little bit of money and they offset your trip, and that's beautiful. Some behaviors, they might come in natural. For example, me as a nomad, the slow travel, it's natural because I wanted to stop constantly moving. And same for the flights. Flying is so stressful and not cool, you know, like since forever, the companies, they're yet to crack the UX code and customers having a good time. So yeah, I try to fly as less as possible. The calculus that people need to make is that even if the flight is let's say 3 to 4x more quick, it is also probably 2x as stressful. So you need to calculate your energy and the stress. And I do think that yeah, that can be super beneficial when you travel in car. For example, here in Mexico, instead of flying, I will use BuzzBud, or even better, BlaBlaCar, which is a carpooling app. And yeah, save a lot of time. I can chit chat with someone, make friends, and save money also. So it's like win 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 win. So I think that's how people need to design solutions for the environment. I think I'm really much of a believer in UX. Now for workation, I'm somewhat new to the concept because as a nomad, I've been visiting various spots, and I think workations have been somewhat natural. But I do agree that yeah, like you don't need to go far to chill, you know, and to really have an experience and to change your mind. Did that really started during COVID, this mindset of near travel? I know that Airbnb was quite bullish on that during the pandemic. Tell us a bit more, like where the workation idea and the near travel, or there's probably a term for that, I forgot about it, but where did that started for you guys?
I mean, when we actually started working on this concept about 10 years ago, and at that point, workation was like a term that existed already. But when I was really doing the research, there was only a few or like very small organized tours that I could find in Europe. And both of them were happening from Germany. And both of them, one was taking people sort of like co-working trips, like collecting freelancers to go co-work. One was in Spain and one was in Germany, in the countryside. And so I got in touch with them. I was looking at the development of like there was sort of these other co-working groups that would form. I got to know them. The concept of co-living was just getting started. So we were kind of like at the beginning of this whole thing. And then we opened our location 6 years ago, so pre-pandemic. And what we have already noticed was the global digital nomad trend was a thing, or more remote work, more people able many more people able to work remotely, finding this to be a more, I don't know, a more attractive lifestyle because they were able to explore the world on their own terms. And this was something that you already saw. And then the pandemic really just kind of like put it into hyper gear.
Right.
Then everybody was like, why be stuck in a city? And, why not? Like, the internet access is much better now. I mean, this is one thing in Germany. It's not the same case everywhere in the world, but for some reason, the internet access in rural Germany is so bad that like finding a place that has it fixed was like, that's already special. So we got that covered. So people could come here and immediately start working. And they did a lot more of that. Like, we definitely saw a lot of people coming in the pandemic time for sure, because they actually had this, they were able to be around more people than they were in the city because we were hosting a small community of people the whole time. So they still got this sort of like meeting new people thing that they were missing. So it was actually interesting. But it's been like a whole ride. So we were already seeing an upward trend in remote work, digital nomads. The pandemic came, it really like, of course, zeroed out like all normal work environments as far as like laptop workers goes. So everybody was working remote for a while. And now the whole world is like still trying to figure out, where are we? What do we want to do? Like, some companies are like, you must come back. And some companies are like, we'll never go back to that again. And then what you have is projects like ours, where we're able to also fit another need, a new need, which is how to create a team spirit with a fully remote team, how to create a team spirit with hybrid teams where you have new team members who haven't gotten to know each other face to face. The water cooler effect is like going away. So it won't just be like going very far away. Like, this team idea or spending some time together with other people in a condensed amount of time and space is actually really beneficial for a team. So this is something that we're seeing an uptick of. But again, we're also seeing like the single remote worker. Like you said, you identify as a digital nomad. So we do see more digital nomads coming here, of course, only in the summer because it's Germany and digital nomads are addicted to the sun usually.
Yes.
But we have and I'm aware of that, but we also are able to sort of tick the other boxes of, these sort of office workers from the city having another place to go, get a new environment. So even if it's not warm, it doesn't matter. We have a sauna and you can go for a nice walk in the forest.
You got me now.
Yeah, you can come in.
Definitely gonna come. Do you have a cold plunge too?
Yes, we do. So
No
ice
way.
bathing happens we have an outdoor natural pool. So every winter, of course, like every winter, once the ice bathing starts, it doesn't stop. It's really funny. It's really funny.
Okay, that I didn't know. So I knew that you guys were kind of special going on the website. You have so many attractions, right? The fireplace, the walk in the nature, the biking, all of these things, the local products. You guys are really taking it to the next level. But yeah, the cold plunge and the sauna, like, you got my biohacker self now.
Yeah.
I went to Germany, but it was like in my young drunken self mode back in the day, so really didn't like enjoy it much, although I did like Berlin. But yeah, I definitely will pay a visit next time I'm there. For the workation thing, I guess the trend is that people don't want to completely disconnect from work, because if they do, it's not just the conception that it's not just artificial stress that when they come back they will be like more stressed. It's reality that when they come back, they've got a pile of work to do. And I think most people, first, there's the trend that people do what they love more nowadays. So it's not necessarily stressful to continue working. And then is the realization that you can still work without disconnecting and still have some kind of experience slash a therapy. And your business can potentially pay for it if you're an employee. So I guess that's the trend there. And yeah, it's cool that you guys are putting it forward and making it available for people. So Julia, can you tell us like where can people find out more about you and the website and where they can find you out?
Yeah, so of course. So anybody can visit our website. It's coconat-space.com. So almost like coconut, but nat. It actually stands for Community and Concentrated Work in Nature. So coconat-space.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and yeah, we're doing all kinds of stuff. I would say the Berlin ecosystem knows us pretty well. So if you land there, you'll probably hear about us anyway. And but anybody's welcome anytime. Actually, we always have a very international mixed group. So it's usually 50% international people, 50% Germans. 75% of our guests come from Berlin, but the rest come from all over the world. So you never know who you're going to meet here. I have met people. I've personally run into people who I know from Southeast Asia who came here, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And they just came like for other purposes. So that's super cool. Yeah, we're super active. We're always happy to greet people from everywhere. And I would just say one thing: we're not a replacement for your vacation. You definitely should go sometimes and totally disconnect. It's still beneficial for your mental health to disconnect all the way. But when you come here, if you need like a different kind of a environment, if you need to focus, if you need to break the box, if you need to do your taxes, I don't know. People come here for all kinds of reasons. They finish their books, they finish their PhDs, they start their companies, they make a strategy. Like they do all kinds of shit here. So you never know what's going to happen.
Right. Thank you so much, Julia. So Coconat with an A -space.com. That is so coconat-space.com.